Welcome, everybody, to The Vine and the Veil, the podcast where we dive between worlds to reveal the mysteries of the light and the dark, the wisdom of the spiritual, the wonder of the mystical, and the power of the supernatural. I'm your host, Carlos, and this is my co-host,
Maria.
And today we are going to talk about tarot and tarot readings and fortune telling. It's a very, I think, for some people, it's a very controversial topic. I think that a lot of different folks, especially right now, are kind of, you have two sides. You have your very conservative side of the world, the Christianity, people in religion that view tarot as something that is illegal, immoral, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. And
summoning the devil.
yeah, summoning the devil, anything that's not
occult arts.
Yes, the occult arts, things like that. And there are even laws in the books in some states about
so there's
tarot.
Actually 7 states that have not necessarily tarot, but fortune telling, clairvoyance, divination, and anything that they consider, summoning or occult practices. There are laws out there in 7 states. I want to say it's like Minnesota, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, New York, Massachusetts. Interestingly enough, scrolling through TikTok, I want to say like a couple days ago, I did see that there is a content creator that focuses on tarot that is actually going to court in Pennsylvania for fortune telling.
Wow.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
That's kind of wild. I guess that's why you see on a lot of times on social media where they'll put up for entertainment purposes only.
Exactly.
But then there's, if you want a private reading, contact me.
Right.
So that's super interesting. Yeah. I heard that in some states too, it's legal to do it, but you need like a permit.
Yeah, you could have a license or a permit. So yeah, I mean, all of this started from like the 1800s and 1900s when the charlatans, snake oil salesmen would come into town and take your money. Here's this magical elixir. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you your fortune. This is what you need to solve all your issues. And because of that, a lot of these practices ended up getting a bad name, and these laws came up. So interesting. Also, are there any laws against witchcraft itself? No.
Well, because isn't that more recognized more as a religion?
It is under the First Amendment, right? It's been for decades that Wicca specifically is, or Wiccans have been put into that bucket of an organized religion, which I think is cool.
At least
awesome.
At least they're not persecuting witches anymore.
I mean, I'm sure there are places.
I think humanity's advanced a little bit in that. I'd like to hope.
So since you bring that up, I'm questioning that fact. So there also has been a movement in TikTok that we actually started discussing, I want to say yesterday, maybe like a night ago, where there's a couple content creators that have moved from tarot readers to popular tarot readers to Christianity and like totally gave up their practice. Now, was that a result of somebody persecuting them to the point where they felt like they needed that?
I don't know. I think that people on their journey, they go through different phases. And I think that sometimes, when you have people that are dealing in one philosophy or a practice, they get to the point where either their cup isn't filled or, something happens in their life that causes a lot of potential trauma or turmoil or something where they turn to something else for help. And in this case, a lot of times it's, you hear people, we turned to Christianity. I found Jesus. I was saved by the Lord and stuff like that. And if you want to go down that route, great, more power to you, because I think you are at a stage in your life where it fills your cup in that way. But yeah, I think that it's super interesting, especially when you've already established your brand as a tarot reader and somebody who, for all intents and purposes, tells your future as a fortune teller. Mm-hmm. So, and it also is very challenging for the base that you've built as well. So I'm of the opinion that you do you. Yeah. If that's the direction that you want to go, but you at least in my opinion, if you have a fan base and you have a platform that was built on that, you probably should shut it down. Yeah, because I think that was a chapter in your life, and if you really want to close it and move on, you close everything.
Right. Absolutely. I do have to agree with you. I think we always, like you said, sometimes we put ourselves into these buckets, like into these classifications. I don't think that you can't be a tarot reader and a Christian at the same time as well. Like, there's
Absolutely.
no reason why you can't unless you become involved with a church that is very adamant. Like, we absolutely do not align with that. And then you start moving towards that practice, then I could see that. But I don't think and I do believe that many tarot card readers or fortune tellers or even people that practice witchcraft are kind of a little bit of both, like, or at least started with a
Well, I
Christian
don't know. I mean,
base.
I think it's how you define God, and this is a whole
Correct.
different discussion podcast in and of itself. But I
Mm-hmm.
think that you can believe in God, whatever God is to you, whether it's your traditional Christian God or whether you subscribe to the idea that we are all God because we're all part of consciousness, so that makes
True.
us God in that way. So I do believe that it is totally fine if you want to practice the arts and still believe in a God. I don't
Right.
think there's anything wrong with that.
So on our dad's side, our great grandmother Julia, she actually used to practice tarot reading, but she did it with like a standard deck of cards, which
Well, I mean, that's the way
how
tarot
it
originated.
originated.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So I think that's interesting that she was a very stout Catholic as well, but she still dabbled a little bit into to that.
Yeah, and I think now tarot has become much more mainstream, especially with
Hmm.
the advent of social media. There are a lot of people who are tarot readers or aspiring tarot readers, and I
Hmm.
think that's totally cool and totally interesting. Have you done any or gone to see a tarot fortune teller to get your cards
I
read?
I started so a couple of friends and myself decided we were curious in college freshman year. So we did buy some books on witchcraft. We bought a tarot deck and we started to learn like the basic tarot reading, what they meant, but not really like dive entirely into it. But I was fascinated with it, and it was interesting, especially if you're doing like the past, present, and future
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. It was almost always correct when I did the past.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever I was pulling those cards, they were very interesting. I have actually gone to a fair psychic who kind of gave the charlatan vibe. She was like, oh, this is wrong with you. That's wrong with you. You need to pay me $2,000 and we'll do these cleansings with these
Ah, they tie
crystals.
in the
And
cleansings.
and
Yes.
then that's
Mm-hmm.
only the first step. And then there was going to be additional steps. Once I was in, are we cutting?
Yes.
Maya Gage. Maya Gage. Can you please stop? No roofing. Girls. They're barking at the birds.
Uh huh.
Once I was in my 20s, I actually, babe, can you get the girls in? Please? Maybe she's done.
No, she ain't done.
Maya! Maya Bean! Stop. They're not going anywhere. She has a bark lips. Daniel Ryan Bean, can you get Maya in, please?
You can't hear you.
Maya! Stop it.
You might have to get her in.
I was like this. Don't let me forget I was like this. So I don't glitch it. Hey. Your daughter's interrupting our podcast. I asked you to bring her in. You're super high. I verbalized it. Gidge, come on, inside, please. This one's open.
I can't hear you over there. I got the TV on and my TikTok on. I like the party. Hey, Maya.
And
when I was in my late 20s, I actually went to a psychic that worked with the Orange County Police Department, interestingly enough. She was recommended by Veronica,
Yeah,
our
so
sister.
she was legit.
She was so legit. She was actually really interesting. She was the one who told me that you, even though you never said that you saw things, had experienced a lot. Because before that, he never let us know that he had any ghost experiences, nothing about seeing spirits, nothing about his dreams, like none of that. Like tight seal, didn't let us know that he was experiencing any of that. So
Right.
she's the one who's like, actually, your brother sees a lot and he has seen a lot. So that was interesting. But even more so, like she told me I was going to meet my husband at a place of entertainment. And at the time I was like, well, what do you mean? She's going to be like, he's the guy with the hair. And I was like, okay. She was like, he's going to be more handsome than any guy you ever dated. I think that's true. I met him at a casino. Never thought that that was going to be the correlation. I was thinking more of like entertainment in Disneyland. And then he has great hair. So that was interesting. But before I left, she stopped me. We went through so much, like talking about like the past, the hauntings, the broken mirror that we talked about in another episode. Yep. And she gave me advice of like what all that was. Before I left, she stopped me and she's like, you have a male figure that is protecting you. He's been around all the time. Like he's always there for you. And he wants me to let you know that your front right tire, there's something with like, he's pointing at you, like your front right tire. And he wants me to tell you that you need to get it checked right away or you're going to be in a horrible accident. So obviously like, I'm like, there might be something to this. But then she went on to say, their birthday, and this was in August, their birthday is in August and it's coming up in a couple of weeks. And at the time, like I totally spaced. My grandfather had passed like maybe by like 2 or 3 years at that point in time. And because I was so overwhelmed of everything that she told me, I actually didn't think about it until after I left. And I was like, that was Grandpa. Because his birthday is August 14th. And I was like, that was Grandpa. So of course, the next day I go to a dealership to get my car checked and the axle had like this huge crack in it. So yeah, pretty crazy. It's not like she like stabbed my tire and there was going to be something wrong with the tire. My axle had a crack in it. And that like blew my mind. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Super cool.
Yeah.
I've never gone to a tarot reader or a psychic or anything like that. I think it would be kind of interesting to go through that. I do think that there are different ideas on tarot reading or predicting the future and stuff like that. And so there is this school of thought that is you're projecting your own reality. So when you project your reality, it's basically your higher self telling you what you need to know.
Right. I can see that.
So everybody that you see in your reality is basically a mirror of you. So it's you telling you that these are the things that are happening in ways that you can understand.
Right.
And which is kind of interesting, and it kind of blows your mind when you think about that, which is basically like my higher self is telling me these things that I need to know or I would like to know. And the idea of being able to predict the future or see the future, I think that those are kind of interesting because we are so susceptible to intention. And if somebody puts an intention in your mind, it can manifest that way.
Correct.
So if you think about that, right, all possibilities are there. But if you focus on a specific one, it will probably manifest for you.
Right.
So when somebody does that, it puts that in your mind, and now that subconsciously you're thinking about that, and it'll happen for you.
Right.
So
I can see that.
It's an interesting take on that, where it's basically like, oh, possibilities haven't really happened. It's still the future, but now because somebody put that little seed in your mind, subconsciously you're thinking about it, and it happens.
Yeah. Well, she wasn't right about everything because I ended up not having. She's told me I was going to have twins, but not only did I not have twins, I was actually infertile. So yeah, that wasn't accurate.
Right.
But she was pretty spot on with a lot of other things.
Yeah. And so that's why I think it's at least personally, in my opinion, I think it is your higher self telling you things that you need to
Correct.
know,
I
and
can
other
see
things
that.
that you don't need to know. You just
Right. Right. Right.
it isn't of much consequence.
Right.
But I think people can get really addicted is the right word, yeah, maybe, to
Life choices
tarot
based off of
readings.
the card you pull
So
for that day.
they have to go see their reader or their psychic, and before they make decisions, because
Right.
they want to make sure that those decisions are right. And I mean, it's not uncommon. I mean, I think it's happened throughout all of history where people in very powerful positions have had mystics
Right.
and
Yes.
psychics
Former
and
presidents.
spiritualists
Yes.
who are there to kind of give them advice or kind of help steer them in a direction, or maybe even protect them
Right.
from other things that are happening. So it's a very fantastic and fascinating world when you start thinking about tarot, right? Because I have a deck that I like using. It's the Kali Oracle deck, and I whenever I am thinking about something, and I kind of want to just a general idea of a direction or an answer to a question that I have, I'll pull the deck and pull a card, or maybe do the past, present, future if I really want to try to do that. But mostly it's just pulling a card. And honestly, for me, these cards inherently don't have any power. It's the power that you give it. And when you're using a deck, whether it's a tarot deck or an oracle deck, you, at least in my opinion, you are basically using this to focus and channel your higher self, and to tell you or to give you answers to questions that you may have, or at least a general direction. So, but it's a good way to kind of focus your energy to be able to actually do that as a leaf falls down on the table.
So what I think is interesting is that there's more than just a plain you have your oracle decks, you have your plain tarot cards. What's the difference between them?
I think that the tarot decks, there's a structure that's existed for a very long time, that you kind of read and interpret the cards, the minor arcana, the major arcana, and the common cards, and it's up to the person to make sure that they understand what those cards actually mean, and then use their divination or the contact that they make energetically with another person, to be able to kind of give them a reading or an interpretation of what those cards say in the order that they say, and in the direction that they come out, right? Because a card that comes out one way or reversed has two different meanings. So it's very structured and very open, where an oracle deck is very freeform. So it's subject to a lot more interpretation of the cards, what's in the card, what they and what the person actually means. And I've seen people do really cool stuff with just homemade cards, where they've written down phrases and stuff and kind of pull them and have a conversation based on them. And I think those are kind of cool too. So I think the oracle deck, at least in my opinion, gives you a lot more free form, because it's just like, hey, I'm pulling this card, this is what I feel it means, and this is what I'm going to give you as far as an interpretation, where tarot is much more of a structured.
Have you ever worked with a deck that gives you advice on, like, oh, you can call on a entity or something that is connected, whether it's that kind of deck? So let's say it's a deck for Anubis.
Right.
Have you ever worked with any kind of decks like
No,
that?
I mean, I've got an Egyptian deck that I've used before. I've got a shadows deck, so something that's a little more, if you want to call it dark, rooted in more of the shadow work stuff. But ultimately, it's what you feel is going to work best for you, because ultimately, I think that you're channeling energy and you're harnessing energy to be able to, give you some insight into something that you're going to do, or a direction at least.
Right.
I've seen people use angel decks, where they, depending on the archangel or the angel that they bring in, it's basically them channeling or using the energy of that specific angel to be able to give you a message. But I don't think that's, I mean, I think that's up to the person and kind of how they interpret it based on their belief system, and what they want to get out of using a tarot deck or an oracle deck.
One thing that I found fascinating in college, because when I was like, what, 17, 18, when I tried tarot for the first time, and my friends and I would try to do the like back to back to back to see if we got the answer we wanted.
No.
And then a lot of the times it was the same answer each time, which I always thought was fascinating. And then even in my adult life, one of my friends that comes over for Thanksgiving all the time, she and I love to do tarot together. And we don't do that as adults, but it's always interesting to see like your card spread. And she is very much more skilled in this. She's done it for a very long time. She does deep dives into practices. But it's the artwork and the stories, or, you know, the direction that it gives you of what the representation of each card is in these decks. Some of them are just beautiful.
Yeah,
They're so
well,
beautiful.
I think that there's again, it's a pretty big industry. So tarot cards are a $1 billion industry.
Oh, absolutely.
And there's always new ones that are coming out because people, you know, they, depending on how they feel, the mood that they're in, you know, they'll use a specific deck for, hey, I really need something because this is a big deal. They'll pull a deck that, you know, that's the deck, that's the heavy deck, right? So they'll use it for big things that they want answered.
Is your Kali your big deck?
No. I have a shadow deck that I really use for stuff like that. But ultimately, at least for me, it's a way for, I know it's me, my higher self, giving me that information. But I use it because I like to. It's a feeling that I get. I want to use the Kali deck. I want to use the Dreamweaver's Oracle deck, which is, this one's a little lighter, but it's super interesting because, again, I think the more you use a deck, the more you understand a deck, the more you're able to interpret even the cards. And like you said, some of the artwork that's in these cards is pretty cool. And I think a really skilled tarot reader will take the card, understand what it says, or at least what the book says that it's supposed to do, but also add their interpretation based on the things that they say.
Right.
And the feelings that they get from the card, that either they're pulling it for themselves, the cards are pulling it for themselves, or pulling it for somebody else.
Yeah.
So I think that's it's super cool. Like again, I don't think that you, again, at least in my personal opinion, I don't think that you need these in order to be able to actually connect with your higher self or with other energies. But it's a really good way for you to kind of focus. And I think that, just like with any ritual that's out there, it's meant to help you kind of focus on a specific thing.
Right.
And that's what these cards are, at least to me.
That's awesome.
But you don't have to do that. You can go into meditation and do the kind of the same thing and still get answers to questions that you might have.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, that's fascinating. I don't really use it other than you know, when I'm going through a really tough time. I have gone to tarot cards, but I don't really use it as like a daily practice or a weekly practice. Yeah.
I mean, I've seen people give readings, and it's funny because, like, for a lot of the younger people, one of the biggest questions that I've seen, and I was watching this this tarot reader give this person a reading, and it was all about love. They wanted to know when they were going to find Mr. Right. In this case, you know, it was a woman. When were they going to find Mr. Right? And the tarot reader got kind of a little frustrated because he was telling her information that she just didn't want to hear.
Yeah.
She would keep asking the same question over and over again. So it's one of those things where I think a very good reader or a fortune teller or whatever will tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. And I think that separates the people, because there are people that do this, like you call them charlatans. I think they do it.
I said back in the day.
Oh, back in the day.
They called them charlatans.
Well, what do you call them now?
Fortune tellers, tarot readers.
No, but the people that are in there for the money, they're not necessarily in there to help. Scammers, whatever.
I mean, they're still charlatans, I suppose.
Yeah, but it's that sort of thing. If you're going to use decks, be prepared.
Yes.
To hear what you need to hear and not what you want to hear. And I think that's really difficult for people, especially in this day and age, where they want to hear the good things, and they want to hear that they're amazing, and they want to hear that Mr. Right or Mrs. Right is right around the corner, and you just have to go and do the thing.
Or want them to clear the red flags of the person.
It's all green.
Sure.
There are no reds.
Yes. So interestingly enough, Fariba, who was a psychic I went to see, I don't know if she still practices. I wasn't planning on saying her name, but it came out naturally.
Fariba,
So
I
we'll
mean,
go
that's
with it.
cool, right?
I know she.
Fariba, if you're out there,
yes,
yes.
you are amazing. She went before she even started. That was a disclosure that was covered. Like, if we're going to sit and have this conversation, we are going to talk about good and bad, regardless of what that means for you. Like, we're covering things. When I went to New Orleans at the vampire ball,
Mm-hmm.
they had several psychics, and it was the same thing. Before you started, you were going to talk about good and bad. Interestingly enough, I was like, there was a line to see the one that I wanted to see. I really liked his vibe. He had the evil eye ring, and he used it to kind of cleanse himself in between people,
Right.
especially when he was dealing with someone that had a lot of heavy energy. Like, you could see him like twirling around or like flashing that ring at that person because he didn't want to absorb that energy. Also interesting is that's when I started to have a correlation of like noticing something with a lot of people in New Orleans that practice either fortune telling or magic or
Voodoo,
voodoo,
whatever.
whatever practice it was, that a lot of them were actually missing teeth or missing a tooth. So this guy actually was missing a tooth, and that raised a flag. I was like, that's interesting because well
Did you ever
dressed,
ask
like
him? You're like, why are you missing that
I
tooth?
didn't. But then the more I was walking around and going into these places, I started noticing that it was very common. And so I decided to, while I was there, look into it. Like, is there a correlation here between that or maybe something they practice? And especially if you're practicing something for yourself, that actually amplifies like your tooth, your bodily fluids, like that actually is supposed to help amplify your magic or witchcraft in your spells
Right.
or rituals.
Right.
So I think that's interesting. Like, maybe that was a correlation of them all having
maybe, but again,
missing teeth.
and I think that that's an interesting correlation because it ties to specific rituals and beliefs that have been kind of like passed from person to person over time. And I wonder if that is again a way to be able to actually your belief and your focus and your intention, because you've done a certain thing, you believe that that's going to give you power to do more.
Right.
When it's
that's totally
ultimately
possible.
just you.
Well, you have heard of the poor albinos in Africa that they're killed because they're considered like sacred and magical.
Yeah,
and they're used for
body parts,
rituals and practices, which is mind blowing.
Right.
That is something that's practiced even now.
But I mean, that's the thing that it's wild, and it's very hard for me to kind of comprehend a lot of this stuff. Is who was the first person who was like, you know what? That albino, if I use some body parts and I do some crazy magic, right? Or hey, if I remove my tooth and I do a thing,
right,
it's gonna do.
Yeah,
it's gonna make me even more powerful.
You could say that for anything that's invented. Like, who decided to fry an egg? Like, why weren't they eating them raw? I mean, you could say that about how did somebody come up with, anticoagulant therapy or whatever it is. It's something that maybe a higher self told them, or an alien. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows
where I think a lot of it has been it's been passed down.
Oh, absolutely.
And it becomes a tradition.
Right.
And so people know that they need to follow this tradition because again, it's like a belief system. It's the same thing as Christianity, and you're following the 10 Commandments and you're doing this
or
because
following a grimoire in your own family line. That might have been something that was somebody else's practice, which you can either continue with or zhuzh it up and make it your own. It's
right.
It's kind
and I also think that again in this day and age where everything is much more open and information is much more available, I think it's much harder to. I don't want to use gatekeep is not the right word, but
I hate the word gatekeep.
But keep a practice or something very contained to a specific group of people.
Is it like that because it's sacred to them, or is it like that because, I mean, you could see it on TikTok that people go overboard with certain things, right?
Yeah, well, you have people that say, well, you can't access this deity because this deity is only for these people.
Right.
And it's like, well, their energy at the end of the day, do
Correct.
they discriminate? I don't think so. Do they
like
can they
like cultural appropriation, but for your religious
right? Can they tell
practices.
between good and bad? No, because their energy. At the end of the day, energy is just energy,
Right.
and what your intention and what you put behind it. If you are again human and you like to label things, could be used for good or could be used for evil.
Correct.
But I don't think the energy itself.
It's whatever energy you put forward.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah,
And so
absolutely.
I find that also very very different. And so there's this I see this clash between the old school ways and the old school practice
Hmm.
and the new people that are coming up
Yeah.
that feel like, hey, we can try, we can make happen.
Yeah.
So I think that somewhere there's going to be a meeting of the two, or they're going to clash so hard that something comes that's going to be beneficial to both.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a beautiful thing, but just thinking about how Christianity has evolved over the years, you went from very strict practices or their sermons, masses, whatever it was, to them playing rock music in or having like evangelical moments or selling you something in the middle of your mass or sermon. So I think like there was an evolution, and even within the Catholic Church, like the change from everything we went to Latin mass, we went to regular mass, and then seeing that evolve into something that it is now. I can't keep up at church. I mean, I went a couple years ago and I was like, I do not know half of what they're doing anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I
Or
think
saying, because it's more saying
I
than
think it has to
doing.
do with the fact that they still need people.
Mm-hmm.
More people they have, the more energy they have, the more they can continue,
Yes.
to maintain
Mm-hmm.
the power structure and the influence that they have.
Mm-hmm.
Because as more people don't believe, then
Right.
it reduces their power and the influence. It's the same for pretty much anything there. And so they have no choice but
To evolve.
because people are just not
Yes.
buying the thing anymore. Because before it was very easy to control the narrative and to be able to demonize things
Mm-hmm.
that weren't right. But now people
Right.
are like, that doesn't. Why are you demonizing that? That doesn't make any sense. And with social media, everybody's like, yeah, no. Why are we? That makes no sense. Why am I thinking this way? Or why am I practicing this? What's the reason for this?
Right. You know what's interesting? It will be really cool to see how religions move forward with AI. Like how that's going to impact it. So if you've ever tried to create like your own AI search engine, like you can give rules of like restrict
Mm-hmm.
this, open this. So it's interesting in the use of AI, like having these religions end up making these things up and like follow these rules.
Well,
How well does AI follow those
well, I
rules?
think that there is going to be, if there isn't already, a religion that is that the deity or whatever is
Hmm.
AI.
Let's start it.
Well,
I'm ready. Let's do it.
you heard it here first. Probably not. It's probably already out
Probably
there.
totally not.
But let's bring it back to tarot. I think that there's a huge um, disconnect that's happening between very traditional tarot readers and
Hmm.
newer tarot readers who actually use AI
Hmm.
to be able to give divinations
Right.
and readings, which
Yeah.
again it is a complete clash of tradition
Right.
versus the new thing that's coming out. And it's very polarizing because
Oh, it's so
you'll see
polarizing.
people on both sides.
Uh-huh.
Some people are like, this is not the way to do it. I don't use AI in my divination practices. And you have other
Hmm.
people who's like, what's wrong with it?
Yeah.
Why can't we do that?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
again, it's a very interesting subject, and I would like to know if you guys, if any of you guys want to comment. Do you guys use AI? If you are, practicing tarot reader, somebody who gives divinations or who is a fortune teller, do you use AI to be able
Practice
to
any of your
practice,
practice, rituals, spell
or are you
casting.
completely against it? I think it's a really cool and compelling, controversial topic that deserves discussion.
No, fat. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
100%.
I love AI. I'm a huge fan. Huge fan. I think there's a lot of things about it that's scary, but I am a fan of AI.
I use AI in development for
Hmm.
sure, but and this is a big but. Um, AI does not think, right? Because at the end of the day, AI is predictive, and it's a bunch of mathematical equations that
Hmm.
will give you what you think you want, right? And so AI will also tell you it's going to do things or say things that it hallucinates.
Yeah.
So you always have to check
Oh,
the work
1,000
to
times
make
over.
sure that it's actually correct, because sometimes AI will be like, hey, I did this thing, and you look at it and you're like, you just moved this word
Let me
to
give
here.
you an example of AI fail. So there was a meeting at work and the CEO was presenting. He had AI create his slides, but didn't pay attention to what everything was, like the way he had the word whore in his presentation. He was mortified when he got to that slide, but there was the word whore. And then of course somebody chimes in, well, maybe you should like proofread what you're putting out there before you present it. It was fantastic.
And going back to the tarot and the divination stuff, I think there could be a case for you asking AI to be able to give you something, but then you have to use your discernment,
right,
in order to be able to judge whether it's something that you feel it resonates with
Yeah.
you, and could potentially resonate with a person that you are, giving a reading to, or not.
Yeah, I don't think I would use it I would use it for myself. I don't think I would ever use it for something that I would use on another person
Right.
or give advice to someone.
Yeah, because I think that in order for that to be successful, AI needs to be sentient.
Yes.
And if it ever gets sentient, then we got bigger problems.
We've got huge
because
problems.
then Terminator happens, and then AI takes over the world,
Mhm.
or maybe we are all part of one big simulation, and AI is already running this, and yeah, we're all just living an existence that really doesn't exist.
You know how, I don't know if you've ever seen Ancient Aliens, but you know that whole thing, like ancient alien theorists believe. I think like we've got something going here, like spiritual, spiritual theorists believe.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's
so many things in the world that you can
here's
ponder.
the thing, and I heard this in a podcast a long time ago, and it resonated with me. The only truth we know is that we don't know the truth. Right? Let that sit for a little bit, because everything that you hear, people have different ideas, there's different theories, but that's what they are, right? We don't know what the actual truth is fully, but there are a lot of people that subscribe to it because that's what they wholeheartedly believe.
Right.
And maybe in their reality that manifests, so they add more credence to it.
I think there's a beauty in curiosity, and that's why I think that's what I try to live my life, because I know I'm not going to know everything, and because everybody, there's no person that knows absolutely everything out there. You have to be open-minded and you have to have curiosity to learn and explore and come up with your own opinions. Like,
I think what's interesting about divination, using tarot to read cards for yourself or for other people, is it also helps you kind of start remembering who you really are.
Yeah.
Because if you subscribe to the idea that this is just a life of many that you've lived, it helps you remember that you've done some of these things before, and so these things come as second nature to you, which I think is kind of cool. So the whole idea of practicing and getting a good understanding of different religions, different practices, different philosophies, I think is really good, and helps you remember a lot of things that you might not have if you hadn't have gone down that route.
Correct.
Not to say that you can become fixated on it, because I think a lot of people do, but then they will, their whole identity becomes the thing, and I think at that point they stop growing.
Yeah, they can't make a decision without whatever card they pull for the day.
Right, or they're like, I am the tarot reader of the century, and it's like, cool, but you're more than that.
You are definitely
more than that. And so I think a lot of people kind of limit themselves when they get to a point where they perfect something and they really like it and they're doing amazing work, that they forget about all of the other incredible things that are out there.
There's so many incredible things.
That's why when you talk about people leaving tarot because they get scared or something major happens and they go to Christianity, I'm like, cool, that's cool. Maybe at this point you need something that's a little more structured, and you need to connect with God, or what you what you believe that currently God is, and maybe it helps you escape from something that is traumatic, because I think a lot of people don't, it's very difficult for them to face their traumas, and so instead of facing their traumas, they run, and they latch on to something else because they believe that some external thing is going to help save them, when that's not true. You are the only one who can save you.
1,000%. Yes.
Right.
You're the only one who can change your own life, make your own decisions.
And you can keep running. You can keep trying, diving into other things.
Waiting for a savior.
Doing all those things. But unless you actually go and you actually do the work and you confront the traumas and you deal with the hard things, because let me tell you something, doing shadow work, working on yourself is very difficult, and a lot of people don't want to do it.
No.
So they'd rather subscribe to something else that makes them feel good. Take the hard path.
Yes, it's worth it.
It's ultimately.
We have had some pretty significant traumas in our life, and we're doing the work.
We're still doing the work.
Still doing the work.
Still doing the work. But should probably pull a card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm feeling the sacred oracle. So
feel whatever one you want.
One of my best friends, her name is Kali, or actually we call her Kali, but she always like hated her name because it's associated with the goddess of death and destruction. So she comes from the Bible Belt. So they didn't associate the rebirth, right? Because you can't just be the one without the other.
No, because
Kali.
I mean, ultimately, Kali is nurturing. She's the mother, and if you research Kali, she will move to get rid of negative energy, or the idea that you can channel an energy like that to help you do these things, I think is pretty awesome. And that's one of the reasons why I got the deck, which is
I don't know which way is the front way. Am I doing it wrong?
No, you can just
okay. I'm gonna close my eyes and pick. I'm going with this one.
Okay, show it to the camera.
Ooh.
Okay, read it.
Cool.
What does it say?
First off, I cannot say that name. Kagda?
Kagda.
You want me to read it with no reading glasses?
Okay, you want me to read it for you?
Please do.
Okay. A predestined series of events is due to occur according to divine timing. This has been orchestrated at a high level to integrate the paths of people whom you have soul contracts in this lifetime. Trust in the doors that close just as much as the doors that open for you as a result.
That's cool.
So that's kind of cool. I mean, I think
cool.
it's really, really good advice. It's, again, if you see this, it's basically, there's two skulls
and a, what is that, a sickle? Not really a sickle.
Yeah, it's kind of like sickle. So again, it's one of those things that's basically like, when doors close, just remember that sometimes doors close
for
because
a good reason.
It's you are not meant to walk through that door, or you're not ready to walk through that door. And if you fixate, you miss the doors that are open. So just remember to keep your mind open to possibilities, and you will walk through the door that is meant for you.
Yes. And I have had that many times in my life.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's cool.
That is cool.
I love it.
You pull one.
Oh, you want me to pull one?
Of course.
Okay. I'll have to get this card.
You're gonna reshuffle.
I don't do the.
Oh, you don't do the face. I mean, I don't know what to do, face up or down.
No, I just. Oh, look
You're
at that.
shuffling.
Came out quick.
It's a Kali card.
All right, let's see. Oh,
she's pretty.
Yeah, Kali in the water with lotus. Okay, so this is Kali Mayamya. When a situation becomes unnecessarily complicated or confusing to your heart, Kali arises spontaneously as a protective bearer of universal truth. Ultimately, her revelations shall lead you beyond that which is deceptive or not right for you. This you are promised. She protects you from that which is unworthy of your heart and seeks to constrain your spirit. That's kind of neat. So again, you see this card right here. It's basically Kali, but there's a reflection of her in the water, which basically, for me, actually is a symbol of duality. So there are two sides to you, right? There's the light side and the dark side if you subscribe to those things. So make sure that you don't sway one side or the other. Try to walk a middle line and understand that you're both, and that in order for you to actually fully comprehend one side, you've had to delve into the other side.
Yes. So I'm going to pull a card for those of you that have joined us or are watching any of our little TikTok shorts or YouTube or Instagram shorts. I'm going to pull one for our viewers.
Oh, cool. I like that.
Let's go. That guy doesn't want to come out. So let's go with one who's like, yes, choose me.
Choose me, choose me.
Still not there.
What's
This
it going to
guy.
be?
Ooh, it's so pretty. It is Kalma Devi. I'll let you read that.
Okay, it's Kamala Devi.
Kamala, thank you.
Held with Kali's protection, your heart radiates peace, certainty, and beauty. Her grace melts frustration into inspiration, fatigue into replenishment, and overactivity into effortless attraction. Kamala is the golden pathway of divine protection and peaceful contentment. She empowers your heart to receive with the same generosity, openness, and grace that you express when you give. You are swiftly approaching sacred fruition.
I love that. And I hope it's blessings to all of you and that
That's a really
that
cool
resonates with you.
I
That
like
is
that.
a fantastic card.
Yeah, and on that note, we're done with this episode, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. We've got some really cool stuff planned.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty excited, and I'm glad you guys are liking our
Content.
our podcast so far. I'm glad you guys are responding to us on TikTok. Again, if you have any suggestions on topics that you'd like to see or any feedback on podcasts, the last episode we did that was on vampires was pretty cool. If you want to see more vampire content, we could definitely go there because we're super fans.
Yes.
I think we definitely want to touch on some of the more supernatural creatures that are out there. You know, we definitely want to go into the shapeshifters, the skinwalkers, the cryptids.
Mm-hmm.
Also talk about witches. I think witches are in and of
absolutely.
themselves multiple podcasts that we can go into and talk about. And
different religious practices.
different religious
I
practices,
mean,
magic
is a limit.
I mean, there's
so
some
much.
cool stuff.
Aliens.
Yeah. Oh, wait, yes, aliens. But thank you guys so much.
Yes.
We really appreciate it, and tune in next time.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.